All right, good morning, traders. Today it's March 11th, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for subscribing and following and liking and leaving kind words on my content. Appreciate that. Love that. Special shout out Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Ed, and Rick Sadler. Thank you so much for sharing my content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web. Appreciate that. All right, let's take a look at the market, see what happened yesterday, see how we can maybe find some winning patterns that will manifest today that we can make some money with. All right, so my SPY pivot this morning, 675.75. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. QQQ being a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17. SPY diamond down. IWM made higher lows and higher highs, closing under bearish traps and under their 17s. FNGU, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap and over the hooking 17. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend, but a 10-minute downtrend. Gold and silver made higher lows and higher highs, closing over bullish crosses and over their 17 EMAs. USO, which just made a new 17-year high, yesterday made a lower high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap and over the rising 17 EMA. UNG, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap, but over the 17 EMA. US dollar index, still in a daily uptrend, closed near the 98.94 area. Have to recheck that. SPY max pain for today, 675 with a put to call ratio of about 1.3 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4. Main event this week, there's two of them. There's CPI reports coming out today at 8:30. A lot of volatility will be wrapped around that. And the GDP reports coming out on Friday at 8:30. A lot of volatility will be wrapped around that. If this is your first time seeing this, these are all in daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are all in daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a little star, they're building out a platform or a bear flag from which to dive lower over here. All right, let's take a look at the markets. Here's SPY. Let's take a look at it on the 10-minute chart. You can see the sticks and the 3, which is this thin yellow line, are plotting underneath or riding underneath the 8 EMA, falling 8 EMA right here. So we got 10-minute downtrend coming into the close yesterday. On the 2-hour chart, we got the sticks and the 3 plotting over the 8 EMA. So we got 2-hour uptrend coming into the close yesterday. On the daily candle, we've got a higher low and a higher high. We closed under. You can see the sticks and the 3 plotting underneath the 8, closed under a bearish trap, under the falling 17 EMA. If we zone out here, you can see we're still in the middle of quadrant 4, so we're still bullish up here, okay? But price needs to really hold this 575 right there, okay? See where all these candles come down and touch and then take off. So really needs to hold this 575 area. It's an area, not just a line. So needs to hold above that, all right? Failing to hold above that, we're probably going to come down here and visit the all-time low or somewhere near it, all right? We'll see what happens. So there's SPY on the daily on the daily chart. We're bullish. You can see a low. And then there's some lower lows here, so we haven't made any higher highs yet. So we're still in a downtrend. So we're bullish and in a downtrend. Here is the origin of the rally back here in April. We rode up here, and then moving over to the right. So there's SPY on the daily time frame. On the weekly, you can see right here all the green dots, still bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, we have not made any lower lows right there on the monthly chart. See all the green dots again, still bullish and in an uptrend all the way up there. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ will start on the 10-minute. QQQ, just like SPY, 10-minute downtrend coming into the close yesterday. You can see the sticks in the 3 plotting underneath the 8 EMA. So you can see the price action is moving to the downside. So 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. On the 2-hour candles, we've got the candlesticks and the 3 plotting up over the rising 8. So we have a 2-hour uptrend coming into the close there on the daily candle. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap. And let me just check it here. So 777 and 774. So we're closing over flat 17 EMA right there on the daily candle. Now, if we zoom in and put the quad lines on here, here's the origin of the move back here in April. We move up. We're over to the right here. And you can see we have, did we make a higher high? Yeah, we did. Okay, so we've got an uptrend, all right, on QQQ, okay? Just barely, all right? Let me explain it so you guys can understand it. We were in a downtrend because we got a low and we made lower lows. So we were in a downtrend and back into an uptrend because we made a low and then we made a high up here over the 17, then made a low down here, which happened to be a lower low. So that was a downtrend. And then with this candle right here, see how we made, there's a high here. Well, we just made a higher high with this candle from yesterday. So that makes it an uptrend right there on QQQ. So back into an uptrend as they go back and forth through here. Okay, so you can see we're up here in the middle of quadrant 4. We're definitely in the upper third of the quad lines. So that's bullish and in an uptrend because we made that higher high yesterday. Okay, let's take a look at let's take a look at weekly chart. Again, the origin of our move. See all the green dots. Still bullish, still in an uptrend on QQQ. On the monthly chart, again, see all the green dots. We're still bullish and in an uptrend on QQQ on the monthly chart. Again, we haven't made any lower lows on the weekly or the monthly yet, not yet. Okay, so price action for QQQ still bullish and in uptrend on the daily chart. Okay, so we got on QQQ, we've got the monthly was in an uptrend, the daily's now in an uptrend, the weekly's still in an uptrend, and the monthly is still in an uptrend. All right, all we needed was the 10-minute to be in an uptrend. Okay, so keep an eye on QQQ for that to manifest later on today. If it does, we'll see what happens. But there's QQQ. Let's take a look at IWM on the daily candle. And IWM, you can see IWM's got some lows right through here. We got lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. We're in the upper third up here, so we're still bullish. Yesterday's candles, a higher low and a higher high. We closed under a bearish trap, under a falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Still bullish because we're up here in the upper third above the crosshairs, but we're in a downtrend. So IWM bullish, but currently in a downtrend that's moving down. So there's IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, so Diamond Dow, higher low, higher high, closing under a bearish trap, closing under the falling 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, still in the upper third, so we're still bullish, all right, but we got lots of low, we got a low here, got a lower high there, and we got a lower low, still in a downtrend on Diamond Dow on the daily chart. Let's take a look at Stinker. All right, Stinker got a higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, closing over the hooking up 17, rising 17 right there. Still under the midpoint, still under the all-time low anchored VWAP. That's this purple line. That's the all-time low. That's the all-time high. So still under the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. So currently we have not made any higher highs. Okay, we'd have to take out this high in order to get a higher high. We're neutral because if I zoom out here, you can see we're not below the crosshairs. That would be bearish. We're not above the crosshairs because that would be bullish. So we're just neutral right through here. But we're in a downtrend that's not moving down. So we're in that dysfunctional downtrend, and that price is not moving down. It's actually moving up or over to the right. So price action has not made a higher high yet, so it's still in a downtrend right there. So that's FNGU for us. All right, let's take a look at silver and gold. Silver and gold made higher lows and higher highs, closing over bullish crosses and over the flat 17s. Silver is still neutral, but in a downtrend. All right, in another dysfunctional downtrend in that here's the low. They made a lower low. That put them in a downtrend. All right, but notice after making the downtrend, they didn't go lower. They went over to the right, or they started melting up. So that's that dysfunctional downtrend that they're currently in. They're not in the upper third, not enough, almost, but not quite there. Almost there. So they're still neutral, but in a dysfunctional downtrend. On gold, gold's doing a little bit better than silver. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish cross, closing over the flat 17, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see here's the origin of the move back here in 2022. All right, and this is April. We're up here in quadrant 4. Remember, this is the origin of our move. So 2022, and then we're up here in quadrant 4. So we're bullish, and we are still in an uptrend. We have not made any lower lows yet. All right, we made a lower low here. We turned out, came back and made a higher high because there's a high there. Made a higher high there. So there's gold on the daily candle. That's bullish and still in an uptrend right there on gold. Let's take a look at USO. Now USO, not yesterday, but the day before, made a new 7-year high. That's this big red candle up there. That was a 7-year high. Yesterday, big wide range. Wow. Higher low, no, excuse me, lower high, lower low, but closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17, over the 4-year high anchored VWAP right there. So up there in quadrant, in the upper third anyways. All right, so it's in the upper third, so it's bullish and still in an uptrend currently. We haven't made any lower lows yet. So let's take a look at UNG. UNG got a lower high, lower low. They closed inside a bullish trap, but over the flat 17 EMA, they're still, we'll zoom out. All right, you can see this is down here in quadrant 1, so that's bearish. All right, it's underneath this 1-year high anchored VWAP right there. And you can see they are bullish because they made, there's a high, there's a low, they made a higher high. So they're bearish but in an uptrend, all right, currently on UNG on the daily chart. Okay, so take a look at technicals, T2101. Price went up yesterday and participation increased. That's bullish. I like that. T2122, we find ourselves coming out of the sell zone and the oversold zone and making a higher low and a higher high, making a camp out up here in buyer's chop zone, only to come back and kind of free fall back into the seller's chop zone. So we'll see where we wind up today. We've got the makings of a possible head and shoulders here, being a little right, a little left shoulder. Yeah, a little, doing my left and right. Doing a little left shoulder here, right shoulder right there. So we could find ourselves back in the sell zone, back in the oversold zone yet again today. We'll see, unless they can make that higher low here and hook back up and do some more camping inside the buyer's chop zone. We'll see what happens. D2123. All right, a lot of gaps here. Okay, noticing this gap down. Bulls didn't fill it. Another gap down. Bulls didn't fill it. And this is on the 15-minute chart. Okay, so what do we got? Prices underneath the flat 200. Okay, not my favorite place to be unless I'm a bear. Not really a bear right now, but I would like to see it kind of roll over. It does look like it's rolling over. If you look at T2123 with the Fibonacci on there, you'll see we were at a Fibonacci retracement area up here. You'll see it when I open up the 3-bar chart. Currently, big gap down. You can see price action moves up and over to the right. That's bullish right there. So we're bullish up there. But let's just put the quad lines on there. So we're neutral but bullish right there, because we're, well, neutral but in an uptrend, because we made a low and we made a high and then we made a higher high. We got a little high right coming through there. Yep, right there. Got a little high and we made a higher high. So we're neutral but in an uptrend right now. Okay, so price kind of flatlining right through there, trying to make it over the midpoint. All right, this would be the bulls territory up here. Looks like they're putting up a wall of defense. They don't want any. They don't want the bears coming in there, or so we'll see. Or the bears are putting up a wall of defense. They don't want the bulls coming in there. All right, to score a touchdown up there. All right, so there's T2123. Let's look at the 3-bar chart. And here I got the Fibonacci retracement right there. So this was our old all-time high back in 2024. And then back in 2025, we made higher low right here. So price action from, this is April. So from this April low, we rallied, okay, all the way up and made a new all-time high up here. Pulled back, made a higher low, and then made another new all-time high just recently. Now I'm going to take this and kind of crank it up, and you'll see all of the lines show up here. So you can see we got up as high right up here. That is the 1618 right there. Fibonacci retracement means you could see a possible pullback or a rollover at that point. And we are probably kind of rolling over at that point right now. Now, if you see, if I pull it back down to this area down here, down to this low, you can see the same area lines up with not quite as close as the 1618, but you can see it's right here at the 1272 area right up here. It's in that vicinity up there. So 2 Fibonacci retracements right there. So we're kind of getting a rollover right now. We'll see what happens here, but currently, let's take a look here. Okay, we've got, this is the 3-bar chart. And I'm going to take this off. And currently, we've got a low right here. And then we've got a lower low. So we're currently in a downtrend, but we're up here at the top of quadrant 4. So that's bullish up there. But we're in a downtrend. We're over the rising 200. So that's bullish up there as well. Okay, so we're bullish, but currently in a downtrend because we made that lower low right there. All right, let's take a look at FNGU on the 15. Price action for FNGU, you can see this is the 10th right here. You can see ever since making the pullback low up here, see FNGU has been bullish. See how it just keeps rising up and making higher highs. So it's bullish up here from this perspective. All right, but if we zoom way out and include all of this, you can see we're just neutral right through there. Okay, so take this, move this out of the way for right now. So we're up over the rising 200 SMA. That's bullish right there. We have consolidation over prior consolidation. Also a bullish environment right there. All right, and on as far as uptrends and downtrends, we're over the rising 200. Also bullish. We have a low, and then we've made lower lows right here. So we've got a low, a high, a lower low. So that makes us in a downtrend on FNGU on the 15-minute chart, okay? But still holding that consolidation. You can see right here, consolidation, okay, over prior consolidation. Most all of that right through there. So that's kind of bullish right there. They kind of blend together, but that is consolidation over prior consolidation. So that's a bullish environment. If we zoom way out here, you'll see we're under the all-time, that pink line's the all-time high anchored VWAP, but we're over the hooking 200 SMA right there. US dollar index, price action, this is the 2025 high right here. Price comes down and moves over to the right. All right, and we are currently in this big bear flag. Tried to break out 3 times. Once here, twice there, 3 times right there. Currently, we've got a low, and you can see there's a high. We got a lower high. Now we got a higher low, okay, and now we've got a higher high. So we closed near 98.94 right up here, kind of bull flagging. Right on this 200 SMA right there, trying to find our way to break out of this bear flag. Right now we're in a daily uptrend because we got higher lows and higher highs, but in the bigger picture we're still in this bear flag. That's the US dollar index. We follow that because when the dollar is strong, all right, it makes our goods and services less competitive. When the dollar is weak, the conversion rate for foreign countries to purchase our goods and services is because the dollar's weak. Their money goes a little bit further, all right, and in that they're able to afford our goods and services, or they become more attractive that way. Okay, so we'll see what happens with that. So there is the U.S. dollar index. Let's take a peek at, we'll take a look at the game plans in just a minute here, okay, because I know I didn't hit those. But here we are with Max Payne, which is right here. Okay, so this is for SPY. The calls and puts that expire today. Max Payne is 675. Let me refresh that. They changed it on me, all right. I thought they might do that. It's 678, all right, instead of 675. And the put to call ratio is 1.5 puts for each call that expires today. So possible put squeeze on the table. So we'll see. Max Payne's 678 was 675. All right, let's take a look at the economic calendar. Today we're going to have CPI. That's going to be some volatility wrapped up around that in about 5 minutes. Okay, that comes out at 8:30. We got a petroleum report on inventories right there coming out at 10:30 right there. Tomorrow we got housing starts and permits, a delayed report at 8:30. International trading goods and services, another delayed report coming out at 8:30. Jobless claims 8:30 as well. Quarterly services survey at 10. Natural gas report, natural gas inventories at 10:30 tomorrow. On Friday, all right, we got durable goods orders, delayed report 8:30. GDP, a lot of volatility wrapped around GDP 8:30 on Friday morning, and personal income and outlays also another. That's a delayed report, also at 8:30, and then we got a rig count at 1 o'clock. Not sure what happened right there. Here we go. Consumer sentiment at 10, right there, and JOLTS also at 10. All right, so CPI in about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Going to be a lot of volatility show up in the SPY or in the market indexes. All right, so we'll see what happens with those. Earnings reports. Okay, so earnings reports for today. Okay, a lot of familiar names, nothing here that's going to move the markets. All right, Thursday, Adobe, $115 billion. Again, nothing here that's really going to move the markets up and down. All right, a lot of familiar names, but nothing here. You can see Dick's Sporting Goods, Lennar's got a couple, Dollar General, Wheaton Precious Metals. Okay, nothing here is going to move the markets. All right. Friday, again, more familiar names. Nothing that's going to move the markets right there. Let's take a look at the game plans. All right, let's come over here and let's look at SPY. Let's go to the 15, and we're already on the 15. Okay, so again, pivot 675. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. You can see price reacting with that 675 number. Okay, the reason I have 675, 75, you see that shelf of wicks up there, and then we've got a floor of tails right here. Okay, so this makes my number relevant right there. You can see price gets down to this area and kind of bounces, gets down to this area again and bounces. Got down to the area, made a little touchdown right there and bounced, and we're back again. Okay, so they just keep bouncing along here. We don't seem to be leaving the area, which is not a good sign, but of course CPI hasn't come out yet, so we'll see what happens. All right, we got green erases red over yesterday's high. That's 683.25. We've got red erases green underneath the day before's little valley low right there. Not the all-time, not the daily low, but a valley low right here underneath 668.05. Right there is red erases green entry. All right, I like 2 days and 9 days till expiration. Actually, just the Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. I like strikes $2 to $15 out of the money, preferably for the lower price point and less risk. Remember, you're not going to get as much performance out of the money options, but you're not going to have the volatility that comes with the in the money options. You're going to get closer to penny for penny performance on the in the money options, all right? But you also carry all the risk that goes along with them. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. If a 10-minute uptrend were to manifest down here, long before the green erases red entry or the pivot, I'm not opposed to trading it to the upside. I just like to see it break that bullish 10-minute rubber band candle. QQQ's got a game plan as well. Again, the same options, Friday options on the multiple of 5, specifically for the open interest. All right. I like a tight bid-ask spread. All right. I don't want a lot of slippage when I get stopped out. Again, strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. A 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Green erases red over 613.30. Pivot 605. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, bear. Red erases green. Below 697.60. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. So this morning, looks like CPI is coming out now. Got a little preliminary price action so far. Not big movement so far yet. Let's go over to SPY. Okay, so a breakout over this line right here. All right, kind of want to be a bull right up there. Breakout over that line right there, right over 678.80, 678.80. Okay, breakout over 678.80. You want to be a bull up there. Breakdown underneath all of this consolidation through here for today. So underneath the pivot here, underneath Underneath 675.25, I want to be a bear. So these are the ranges. This is the pre-market, post-market range. Notice no consolidation over or under consolidation here. So a breakout of the lows, I want to be a bear. A breakout of the highs, I want to be a bull. That's my plan for today. All right. So over this line, going to be a bull. Underneath the gold line down here, underneath that low, 675.25, going to be a bear. Okay, so there's SPY on the 15-minute. There's the game plan this morning. CPI should be out by now, and not much volatility wrapped up in that right now. So we'll see what happens, all right, throughout the rest of the day into the morning where we open up. All right, we'll see you in about 45 minutes. We'll open up the markets together. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a profitable day.